Good morning. This is Tamara Grant from Women in Shoes magazine. And this morning I have the pleasure of having life coach Wendi J. Turner on the line with me. Good morning, Wendi.
Good morning, Tamara. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So we're going to jump right in. The first thing I always tell all of my guests is to make sure that you give us all of your websites and social media platforms so everybody listening can go ahead and find you and start to follow you and, use that while they're listening in.
Absolutely. So my name is Wendi with an I. That's Wendi, and you can find me on WendiJTurner.com. That is my website, and that's WendiJTurner.com. Also, you can reach me on Instagram, which is Wendi J. Turner as well. No underscores, no spaces, just Wendi J. Turner. I'm also on Twitter, WJ_Turner. And you can Facebook me at Wendi Johnson Turner. It's a public page there. So those are ways people can reach me, and I'd love to hear from you.
So we're going to jump right in because this is Valentine's season. So, we have, as soon as February comes around, we have lots of people. We're talking about love, relationships, and things like that. And sometimes jokingly we see like a lot of posts and things like that on social media about, being okay not being in love around this season. As a life coach, talk a little bit about, what are some of the challenges or maybe some of the successes that some of your clients that come to you have during this season?
Oh, that's a good question, Tamara. Let me tell you why. I speak to this from being a married woman, from being a single woman, from being a divorcee, from being in the power of people. This could go so many ways, but it's interesting because for me, my first thought is let's not make the day of a holiday that was created by someone be the transfer of our energy one direction or another. The holiday is what it is. So are you receiving flowers on March 30th? Are you receiving the planned date on April 1st? What's happening anyway in your life as to why that's the way it is? And I really think if we could not get the angst and develop that feeling of not having someone around that date, that's a big part of the puzzle. I've seen many couples come, and a lot of them have agreed to just say, you know what, this holiday is not going to dictate our status, or it's not going to dictate how healthy our relationship is. It's just a day. And I've seen married couples do this. I've seen, people in serious relationships do this as well. They just don't let it run them. But for those who love to celebrate, I've heard of the successes to, be realistic with what you expect from the other person. Kind of talk about it before the day. Give the person, I hate to sound funny, but give them a pay period or two for the working male or female so that they can kind of reach that expectation if it's a, elaborate dinner or a trip out of town for the weekend. Make it where it's reachable and realistic for that person. So there's different ways you could spend this. To me, if you're single and you're good about that, let's talk about being around some other singles maybe for the weekend, not the miserable kind, Tamara. No. We don't want those. We don't want the energy of the
You might need to say that part again. You might need to say that part again because that is so very important.
Let me spin it this way. Don't go to get to drink with your friends that are going to get you feeling some kind of way about your life. That's what I'm saying. You don't want the pity party. You don't want the sad Susie sitting there with her margarita telling you how men are all horrible. Not the right energy. We don't do that because that's the energy we would bring back to ourselves. We don't want that. So get around those who are positive, who are movers and shakers, who are in love with themselves. And let's just be clear, that's key. And we could stay there the entire interview. If you don't love you enough or trust you enough with yourself, then why would you expect to be in that relationship to empower and lift up and be, in relation with someone else? It all begins with us, time and time again.
Give us some tips for, since we're talking about tips and positivity and things of that nature, just give us some tips for, I'm going to say ladies and men, because I think during Valentine's Day we kind of focus on what women want all the time.
Oh, yes.
But, men are out here and they may be feeling the crunch during this season too. So if you're single right now during Valentine's Day season, give us some tips on how to just kind of weather the storm through that season.
Okay, I'll tell you this, true story. Yesterday I was sitting in the lobby, and I was talking to two gentlemen. The first gentleman that I was speaking to was a Hispanic male that's been married for over 10 years. He said to me he's upset because his wife does not do anything for him romantically, and he likes flowers. True story. He said, I like to receive cards. Yes, he said, I like to feel thought about. I'm sentimental. She knows this about me, but she doesn't do it. Why am I always expected to lead? And I looked at him and I said, sir, I'm not going to say his name. I said, you are to lead. Biblically, that's your job. I said, however, she can initiate. That's the key. She can initiate, but there is a fine balance for women who are naturally leaders and nurturers. We will take the lead on accident and not allow the man to lead, but we are still able to do the balance of initiating. So, yes, women, men do love to receive gifts. But as we were saying this tomorrow, another gentleman walks up with a bed of 24 roses in his hand. And we start laughing like, you won't believe this. We're talking about flowers with men. He said, well, I'm giving this to my sweetheart, but what I love is a woman to bring me cologne. They have desires. Another man said while we were staying there, I love to get accessories for my car. Maybe it's a car seat cover. Maybe it's, a car charger. I love receiving accessories for my vehicle. I thought, wow, do we think enough about what they want during this time to make them feel loved? So, ladies, men are watching, too, to feel the same thing. Now, you mentioned singles and weathering the storm that we create based on this holiday. Here's one thing I would suggest tomorrow. Valentine's Day is a day of love, so why not give back to those in need? Love is giving, yes?
Exactly.
So what about giving back during that time? It's I was in your city in Atlanta, love Atlanta, and a woman is going to go out and she's going to feed the homeless and do different service projects on that day. I thought, wow, that's magnificent. That's what we do. We go and give to those who are less fortunate so we can truly feel fulfilled in giving back and showing love. And I believe tomorrow we receive love that way through the law of attraction. So why not go out there? Go to a nursing home. Go and volunteer. Go to a children's cancer center. Go color with the kids. Go and find ways to extend yourself during that time. Another thing I would suggest, spa day. Take it to the spa.
I could do that anytime.
Me too. What about getting that chocolate dip bath and taking that time for who you are with a good book? What about, doing a staycation at your favorite hotel that weekend, getting a boutique hotel, grabbing you a couple of books, getting your favorite snacks, and just vegging out for the weekend? Or movie marathons. Pull your favorite movies, not the ones that's going to make you cry, but maybe it's your favorite, comedy movies or your favorite, thrillers. Find things that really you enjoy and continue to cultivate that this time of year.
I love that the conversation is going in this direction because that is one thing that I do across the board ask a lot of my guests. Because a lot of the guests that we have here that we interview for Women in Shoes magazine are women. They are entrepreneurs, and as women, we wear tons of different hats. So we're mom, daughter, sister. We have all these different things that we do, and we kind of spread ourselves thin sometimes. So talk a little bit about, for yourself personally, how you exhibit that balance between work, home, career, and some of the things that you just kind of do for yourself for self-care.
Okay, this is huge because I learned the hard way tomorrow, and I talk about that in my book. I talk about losing balance, losing myself, and almost losing me completely, ultimately. Very life-threatening because if we don't do it, I believe that if you have a vase, let's just say that, those who are listening right now they have a beautiful, clear vase in front of them. But if we have this vase tomorrow and it's got a hole at the bottom, we fill it with water, what happens to the water?
Of course, it's coming out.
It's coming out. So if that water was indicative of power, and every time you poured into that person, but there was a hole, you were never filled, yes?
Right.
So what we must do daily is to cultivate and seal any holes in our life, achieving that balance so that our power stays intact. Well, for me, that didn't happen almost. I literally was almost out of here, literally given 2 weeks to live because I was the mother, I was the wife, I was the worker. I mean, you name it. It was just completely imbalanced. And in my mind, Tamara, I thought I was Superwoman. I thought she can have it all. I'm empowered because I'm empowering others, not realizing I was losing myself. Today now, I am the queen of balance. I fire my phone at night. Let me repeat that. Number one, I fire my phone at night. I don't care what it is. It turns off at bedtime. Not silent, off.
Okay.
For me,
that's important because a lot of us are tethered to our phones and tethered to, constantly checking emails or, thinking, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, so I don't work a 9 to 5. I don't have to turn this off. So I love that you put that out there as number one, there has to be a cutoff.
Has to be a cutoff because if you're no good to yourself, the hole will stay there in the vase, and you're going to just continue to stay empty. So I fire my phone. And another thing is that there is no computer in my bedroom. My laptop is in a separate room. Mm-hmm. Okay? Laptop does not get to come into the bed with me. I cannot because, again, if I'm no good for me, I'm no good for anyone else. Number 3, the television is on a timer if it's on. On a timer, it has to shut off because the eyelids need a certain amount of light or lack thereof to receive the true amounts of good sleep. Big time importance. And when I don't sleep well, my publicist will tell you it's a wrap. I mean, I'm no good because my body you have got to restore. It's just got to happen. Entrepreneurs, we're doing it. We're boss-minded, but we're forgetting to be balance-minded, okay? So for me, I love to be the queen of balance. That means I start my day off with a worship. That means I start my day off, giving my praises so that I can just intention my day the right way, right? Right. That's huge for entrepreneurs because we believe we have to burn them. I've seen a lot of people post up after you, up before you. And I'm going, exactly. And you're proud of that. And you think, no, ma'am, not always good because you're operating at a lesser percent. So we're getting less of you as a person. We're not even getting the right you. We're getting a broken you, and you don't even realize it.
We're doing an interview right now with life coach Wendi J. Turner. Wendi, you mentioned your book a little while ago. I want you to give us the title of the book and tell us a little bit about what we can expect when we read.
Well, the book is entitled You Are Power. You Are Power. It's an acronym for Yield, Overcome, and Understand. And it's a book that talks about the power we've been given freely, that God has given each human being, free of charge. And through the book, we talk about how to activate it or how to harness it or to realize you have it. And when you do, how you daily walk that out so that that business, that relationship, that familial relationship or romantic can truly come to fruition and you be empowered from it. It's one thing to motivate people tomorrow. It's another thing to empower them. So it's interesting when you think about what that word really means. But I talk about just how your words, your daily actions, your intentions in life really direct your path, either to your success or, unfortunately, to your demise. And we talk about that in this book. It's an easy read. It comes with 8 exercises. And it's good for I've had 8th graders read it, boys and girls. And I've had up to 72 years of age read it. So it's definitely something that's attainable for many age groups and demographics.
I love it because I'm a huge, huge proponent of, speaking things into existence.
Amen.
And understanding, that we do have a lot of power just in our words and our thoughts as to how things go in life, even just for, how it guides your day. When you wake up in the morning, if you're just like, oh, this day is going to be horrible, this is not going to go right, like that is all you're going to focus on. Nothing is ever going to seem right, and you're going to miss every single thing that did go right.
Right.
So, we need a lot more of that kind of, empowerment in the world, especially, I think, in today's age where everything is so immediate and everything is so visual. Like, we live in a very voyeuristic society where you can see everything and people can be whatever they want to be. and we really not know what they're dealing with or what's going on behind closed doors. So I think we need to flood just our senses with more of that positivity and empowerment, because it goes
and be
a long
authentic
way.
about it. They've got to be more authentic about this. You know, you said voyeuristic society. I almost screamed and jumped off my chair, because the sad thing is that, you know, people are putting out what you think they're doing or are.
Exactly.
And it's not the truth.
It's not the truth at all. It's not. It's
so
not.
Unrealistic is not fair to us, because then we attempt to achieve it and think, well, I have to work harder and get into this hamster wheel and get to spinning without going anywhere.
Tell us a little bit about, now you're Houston-based, correct?
I am, yes.
So tell us a little bit about, are you going to be bringing the book on the road? Do you have any speaking engagements coming up? Like, where will you be where, you know, our listeners can come out and receive your message in their own city?
Wow. I'm so glad you're saying that, Tamara. I was just in Atlanta Sunday, where I had the opportunity to do great things in Atlanta, where I basically had a meet and greet with my book there in Atlanta, as well as spoke at a church. Yes, I spoke.
Okay, so you're going to have to come back, because we have to make sure that we connect, because I love your message.
Thank you so much. So this summer, I will be back in Atlanta for sure, if not before. I have a couple of things in the works. I'm so excited to tell you. I'm actually having a meeting after we hang up about putting together, I'm doing a small city tour about power, where I will be talking about the experience of who we are, and that will be a faith-based aspect. In addition to that, myself and Tammy Rowland are working on a transparency tour where we will be coming around to colleges, and we're putting that together as we speak. It's under wraps. It's in its infancy stages, but we're so excited. Well, we're going to be also talking about just how we are with as women, and what the true and the real really is behind that, with that vehicle of transparency. So Tammy and I are both super excited about that. I will be having an event next week here in Houston. That is the Mingling Mogul Mixer, where I've actually done some great things in the Houston area. I've got probably 10 to 12 couples that I've married, or should I say I've introduced, and they're together still. So I'm pretty good about that. So we'll be having an event like that coming up next week. So there's a lot of things coming, so stay tuned.
Give us, once again, your website and definitely your booking information, so everybody that's listening can log on, check you out, and make sure that if they want to contact you for booking in their city, they can.
Okay, so they can contact me at bookwendi@gmail.com, as well as Wendi, WENDI, @wendyjturner.com. And that's how they can reach us. We'd love to come out there. Well,
thank you, Wendi, so much for joining us today. Just such a wonderfully empowering and motivating message. We need so much more of that today.
Thank you, Tamara, for having me. It's my honor.
I know you want to take my part in the limelight. Camera flashing.